Hi, this is Jeff Welsh with another YouTube video for y'all. Before we get into it, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and smash like. Today we're going to be talking about the F150 mud flaps and some tips on how to install them. Alright, today we're going to put our Ford Lightning mud flaps on. I've previously done the front and they're only about 5 minutes if all goes well. 25 minutes on one side for me if it doesn't go well, and I'll get into some tips in just a minute. This is not an exhaustive blow by blow on how to do this. This is just some tips that I found and some things to prep out ahead of time. First thing is just lay everything out. Your bracket here, there is a right and an L. I don't know if the L will show up here on the camera or not, but this is the left side, so I'm going to do the driver's side first. All of the clips here, the 4 of them are 7mm. There's one clip here for the 10mm bolt, and we'll go through that in just a minute. Alright, we take out these first 3 up here on the top side. Got a little problem with that one with my tool. I'll get into that in just a minute. This is where some of the tips come into play. And we take the one in the middle out here underneath as well. So the problem I've run into is with my little tool, it's got a 90 and I can't quite get the right angle on it. So if you've got another tool like I do, that makes it easy. But if you don't have these tools at all, you can also use a pair of side cutters and just go in here with a side cutter, and you don't have to cut it, but just get a hold of it and just pop that baby right out just like that with your side cutters. Alright, the easiest thing to do is before you crawl underneath, go ahead and put the clips on the bracket. The 10mm goes toward the rear. This little tit here goes up, as that's where the bolt's going to screw into, and then on the piece that goes against the mud flap, a little tit goes toward the inside of that. Alright, we've got the clips inserted here. Of course, only one's lined up with the hole. As soon as they pop in, they've got a little bit of friction and then they pop. And I've overshot the hole on this one, so I'm going to use a screwdriver. See if we can't get this thing backed out to the right place. Same thing on this one here, it's just not quite lined up. So we're going to pull this back and get this lined up here using my screwdriver. So that's the point of the video here, is to kind of show what things that you can run into, and you can have the right tools out instead of like me running back and forth to the toolbox to get the next thing. So that's lined up, and I'm going to turn off the camera and use 2 hands to get this other one lined up. Okay. Next thing to make your life a little bit easier is just take one of the 7mm screws and just make sure that you can get it to start in there, that you got the hole lined up. A lot easier to do is what I'll call a dry fit. Before we get the mud flap in place. So that's lined up, and so we'll go ahead and get the mud flap and get that on. And actually we're going to put the bracket on next. I think that's going to be a little bit easier. There's an in-depth video by a Ford mechanic. I'll put a link down in the description for that, and you can kind of watch how he did that step by step, blow by blow. Alright, I've got 3 of the bolts in, 2 are loose. I've tightened the center one down. I found it's easier to tighten the center one down, shoved up tight, make sure everything's lined up before tightening these down. And we'll go ahead and put these clips on up here on each of these, where we can go ahead and do that. Everything's started and ready to go, so we're just going to tighten that down. Alright, I've got this clip in, but as I shove, it wants to shove the thing out a little bit out of the alignment. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten this up, make sure it's good contact, you know, all the way around, and then I'm going to tighten these up before I put this next clip in here. Alright, we're on the other side. I've got this tab pulled right in the middle. I left this one in. I pulled it out on the first one because I thought it'd be easier to get these clips in right here, but actually I didn't have any problem putting the clips in. It actually might have been a little bit easier because there's a little bit of friction there, and I didn't overshoot the holes. So everything's lined up. We're going to go ahead and continue on. I'm not going to go back and take the other one apart. The actual mud flap covers that, but there's enough clearance that this is not going to cause any problem, so I'm just going to leave it in there. And all right, we got them on. Look good. Let's take a look at the front, what I previously installed. Here's a pro tip. Like I said, this side took 25 minutes. The other side took 5 minutes. And where I ran into a problem was this screw right here did not want to start. It's right here, did not want to start. So the tip is I just had the wheel straight, used my socket to take it loose, and then tried to use the socket to put it in. But if you turn the wheel, like I've got it turned here, you can see I've just got it turned to the left. So, and then you can get right in and tighten these guys up. No problem. So that's the tip for the front. But yeah, 2 screws come out. They give you replacement longer screws, and then the clips, and that's it. Pretty much straightforward. That pretty much wraps up our YouTube video on the mud flaps. Please subscribe and press like. We'll see you on the next one.